a bit of a backstory about the DSM and Humboldt. That's names of people from a company in Chile. Let me give you some backstory. So I did the Simplifier MKII for a Thomann video. Thomann sent it to me, and for the product page, they needed a video, no talking. I know you want those from me, but you're not getting those. At that point, there was a lot of hype about the pedal, and was like, this is so cool, and it's like an amazing direct thing, and, you know, Helix go home, and blah, blah, blah. And I was very underwhelmed. And everyone said, what do you think about the Simplifier? What do you think about the Simplifier? Hey, Henning, what do you think about the Simplifier? So I felt it was my responsibility to make a little video just telling you what I think and demonstrating the one I had here from Thomann. The actual company did not know I had it. And I was underwhelmed. It didn't sound great. And then that video got a lot of people saying, you set it up wrong. You could see what I did in the video, and I know what I'm doing. There isn't setting it up wrong. And if so, then tell me what I set up wrong. I had a hunch after a lot of comments of people also saying mine doesn't sound that way, that was actually a faulty unit. And I'm pretty sure now that it was. Of course, it's not fair to have a negative video out there when the unit was faulty. That's not representing what the thing can do. That's just representing that once in a while one can fail. And I was the, unlucky bastard that got one that failed. It went back to Thomann, and that video still stands. I will take it offline now because it's not fair, because it probably was faulty. So I met the guys from DSM Humboldt. They were not mad or anything. And I said, look, if it turns out that the thing actually sounds quite a bit better than it sounded in the video, I will gladly take the video down and make this video for you for free. So a couple of days ago, you saw me talking to them at a trade show and promising them that. This year, they gave me one, and I'm not charging them for the video. I will now show you what the thing sounds like if it's not faulty. This is MKII, but the sound didn't get that much better compared to MKI. The one MKI I had simply just didn't work right. So here it is. It is a feat of human engineering, I'm going to call it that. And right out of the bat, what is it? It is an amp simulator. Preamp, power amp, speaker, effects loop, reverb, everything there. Does it sound like a modeler? No, it is a fully analog, therefore no latency, therefore low milliamp draw, and so on. It's a fully analog box, including the speaker simulation and everything, which has its values, size and all that stuff, and no latency. It does not sound like a modeler. It does not sound like a tube amp. The more drive you give it, the more it does. In the cleaner settings, you can feel the analog speaker sim, analog amp sim kind of thing, but that doesn't mean it doesn't sound good. And that doesn't mean that this thing doesn't have a value, because it so does. From looking at it, you could think this is a big-ass box, because look at all the stuff on it. That's a finger. These things are tiny! So we have a preamp, and it says clean, warm, drive, and high. Around here, not a lot actually happens. For it to really do something, you want to kick in a bit more. And then now it actually has a power amp drive. Linear, warm, compressed distortion. And you can actually set the preamp and power amp up separately from an AC Brit to USA, which is probably more, I don't know, USA, to an MS Brit, which is probably more Marshall-y Brit. And so you can have these 3 position switches and have power amp and preamp set up separately. There's a typical 3-band EQ, of course. This will light up when the power amp is too hot. You want to back it off a bit. Resonance is a power amp low end. Presence is a power amp treble. You can cut it if it's too bright. You can boost it if it's not. This is the most important one. That's the master volume, because once you operate these, you want to fiddle with that. There's a constant here. I want to do something here. There's a balancing act with all these knobs. And then there's, I don't know if it's really necessary to have this separately, but it's kind of cool. But is it necessary? right and left speaker simulation, which can be on combo, black, blue, or green. I don't know. Is that a V30? Is that no, it's none of these. It is an analog speaker simulation. It just shifts frequencies around that are reminiscent of something you know under certain names. Let's say greenback. So you go here, but it is not a greenback. It is a frequency response that is reminiscent of it. So no IRs or any bullshit. There's nothing digital here except maybe the reverb. And then you can go to a 212 or a 412, or have a combo with the black on the left, on the right, I can't read, and 412 greenback on the left. If we look at it from over here, you can actually see that this tiny box has full XLR out, which negates the use of a DI box. So if you use, for example, any of the UA pedals, you would need a DI box. With this is built in, and of course there's a little switch down here for ground lift if you have any hum problems. Stereo DI out right frickin' there. That's awesome. And while we're here, this is built-in reverb now. You can dial that in. Everything requires your fingers to do a little bit of a pincher move. Okay, you don't want to constantly dial these. You kind of want to set and forget, because constantly working with it is a little bit, a little bit annoying. Input. Mono effect send. Right now going into my Eventide H90. This comes out on November 1st. It's secret. Tune in and find out what that is, because that is stunning. And this is the stereo return. So you're sending mono, but these three right here are effects: loop, sending mono, stereo return, which of course goes out in stereo. On the other side, we have 1/4 inch out. And you can bypass the cap right there if you want to, with the little switch, if you wanted to use IRs. I think you can set this left out to through, so that you just maybe have a DI signal coming out, all with the little switches. They thought of pretty much everything. Input here, 9 to 12 volts, so maybe literally anything lying around will do. Only takes 150 milliamps. Headphone out, I mean, you can fully practice and rehearse with this box on the go, in the train, in a plane bathroom if you wanted that. That's allowed, I think. So headphone out, level, and aux in if you don't have an iPhone, which doesn't do that anymore. You can actually, feed it with some tunes to practice. And given that it has reverb, there's actually a little bit of space here, so you don't really need anything else. Which means we'll check out the sounds. This is not an inexpensive box. I think it clocks in at €400. But it's kind of UA. Everything is there. Everything can be done stereo. Great for ambient stuff. Since there's no MIDI, there's no presets, it's all what you see is what you get. It's kind of a one-trick pony. Either you're setting it up clean and run pedals into it, which I think people are doing on their wet systems. That's what they're using it for. So either you're running it clean, but then it's set up clean with the cab the way you want it and the preamp the way you want it. Or you're setting it up to drive, but then you're not running it clean. So that's the only real downside to it. It is kind of like a one-channel thing that's very flexible, but what one channel do you set up? Okay, you're not going to set up your AC bridge and then in the middle of the song you're switching to USA. It's not going to happen. You're probably not going to switch to USA in the middle of your set, because you'd have to bend down on your board and completely reset it. Very unlikely, but also not necessary. It does one thing at a time, but many different times, if you know what I'm trying to tell you. I'm using this pretty classic. Look how tiny that stuff is now. It's a Heritage custom core artisan aged. It's a Nido guitar. Does what this type of guitar is supposed to do. And my setup. I have a green pedal on the table. It's green. People use it for things, and that goes into the input. Guitar goes into the green pedal. It goes into the input. The send goes to the Eventide H90, stereo out from the Eventide H90, back into the pedal, and then from the Simplifier with these amazing Zeola cables, thank you Zeola, into the Apollo X4. I think the two cables XLR meter long are more expensive than the actual pedal. Not bragging, that's a fact. I have a bit of a noise gate in the input on the mixer. That reverb is coming from the Simplifier MKII. Was a little bit thin, so I added resonance. Bam! If you know what to grab, you get to the point really quickly. As I was noodling with this the other day, with an overdrive in front of it, I kept playing, and completely forgot that I was playing through a tiny little box. When you're having fun and you're forgetting the gear, you know it's right. Okay, sometimes you're fighting with gear and it's just not happening, you're not having fun, it's just not gelling. Well, then the gear is holding you back. This does not hold you back, okay? You can clearly hear the amps having different sounds. But right now, what do we have? We have a 412 and a combo. It's impossible to show you all the different variations. So that's combos on both sides. It's more pronounced with drive. 212s. 412. Gets bigger, obviously. Let's do 412 with green. Oh, we have too much resonance. Ah. So we put something in the effects loop. So I think it's pretty clear that in clean, we have a huge variety of tonal options. Let's look at the EQ quickly. They are definitely there. So, what were we going to do? Turn that off again. Test the overdrive capabilities. This is perfect as a DI solution for your pedal board, or as a, oh my god, my amp just crapped out solution for your pedal board. Just plug right into it and continue playing in full stereo. Or, given its size, just having this in your gig bag for any situation where you might want to jump in in the band and there's no amp or whatever. It's a killer emergency situation. We're gonna go into recording. Yes or no? Yep, it works with that green thing. So there's, of course, the potential for more reverb on it. The sounds are pretty damn nice. I gotta say this. I am 1,000,000% convinced that the one that I had for my previous video was broken. That video is gone. You cannot see it anymore. This is the video you're watching now. Let's drive things. So now you want to be careful with the volume. That's actually, that was preamp drive. It gets fluttery in the top end when you're pushing it too hard. I would not dime this. I don't think it sounds good when you do that. Go to combo. 212. What happened? Oh. You can go crazy and go completely different on the left. Combo, black, 412. That actually sounds pretty damn cool. So at the same setting, let's go to USA. Or the Brit. You hear that super compression in the top end where it's just crapping out a bit? That's not very pleasant. That happens sometimes depending on the settings. I would recommend getting more drive from something in front of it instead of from itself. You can actually see that the power amp is crapping out there. So not crapping out, but I mean, you know, clipping. I prefer the bridge setting. That's just rock and roll right there. Wait, let's try something. Yep, cutting the presence. It's like an AC top boost cut thing. Much better. Let's get in the effect and that green thing. Scale, but fun. I'm gonna call it quits. There's just too much to do here. Point is, and that's important, that there are some killer sounds in this. Very good cleans, which I really think is probably where the primary function of this is. Maybe in this area right about here. And then you're pumping pedals into it because you're gonna have it in one particular setting. The lead sound I just had was brilliant, with a tube screamer in front of it. But for that, you have to set up the Simplifier MKII to already drive, which means you're probably not going to get clean sounds. I mean, can you leave it right there? Roll it back. You probably can. Yeah, it's dynamic. It'll work with your volume. But in the end, you're setting it up as one thing and then you're pumping your other stuff into it. And that one thing likely is more clean and edge of breakup-y than the higher gain settings that it can do. However, it can do them. Let's talk about recording. Is it a recording tool? It is in certain instances, because realistically, with the state of software nowadays, you can get amazing software for half or less than what the Simplifier will cost you. That gives you effects, different amps, different cabs, all that, and sounds very, very good. I've never played one of them, but Neural sounds good when I hear it. But there's AMPETE, there's the Thomann software, there's Guitar Rig, which has a billion different things for, again, half of what this thing is. When it comes to recording, software options are there, offer more, and are cheaper. However, they're also connected to latency, which is a problem. So you could always record this and software at the same time, and then you pick and choose what you use later. But also with software, setting it up can be a bitch. It's always annoying to me. Okay, computer on, and then either you play it standalone, boring, or I go into the DAW, and then I have to make an extra output, and where does that show up? It's routing-wise a nightmare. It's not plug and play. if you just want to plug and play, record at home, record a quick idea, bam, that you don't have to call up software. So there are uses for it. The big push, the big reason, the big USP, the USP, unique selling point, is massive features, full stereo, XLR DI out, very, very flexible tonally, even though you'll likely just use one of those tones at a given point in time. And size and weight, 150 milliamp draw. You can put this literally into any gig bag and just carry it with you for a situation where you will need to jump in on a session, record something quickly, jam on a train, bus, whatever. Run this off a power bank with an angle power tap. Do you know what that is? Of course, with my luck, they're all in use. It's something like this. It's a tiny little thing. It's $17, and put it on a USB power bank. Drives anything up to 1,000 milliamps. It works great. I use it for individual pedals around my studio all the time. There's, of course, other boxes like it, but the angle power tap is what I use. So run it like this on a plane, train, automobile, in a bathroom, wherever you want. I was wrong about Mark I because it didn't have those sounds. It didn't have those sounds because something was off inside. So I'm very glad that I could now remedy that video and tell you that the Simplifier is what you guys have been saying it is. It's pretty damn good. There are options when it comes to these types of boxes, but they're usually digital. UA has many of them. When analog is needed, because of latency and all that stuff, especially look at the peripherals, look at the ins and outs and stuff. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find something with that many options. When that is needed, the Simplifier will do the job. There's a bigger version, which they said they might have me test. I'm very, very curious to see what that offers. It's crazy. This has a billion little knobs on it. But once you fiddle around with it, it's pretty clear where you want to go. It doesn't take long to know what knob you have to reach for. And I think once you understand that that cut thing it's not just a boost, that can prevent that top-endy thing. You just have to know it, and you have to learn the damn thing. Cool. Thank you, DSM Humboldt, for letting me do this video. I hope we now work together because you guys are cool, and you make some pretty good shit. So I'll put links below, and as always, animals at the end.
Give me a sundown.